Hi guys, you're welcome to the Lore Studios. This is another episode of Android programming. I'll be talking about the Draggable Panel in Android. The Draggable Panel is an Android library created to build a draggable user interface similar to the new YouTube draggable video component based on fragments or views. This Android library offers you two main classes to use and create your own awesome user interfaces. If you want to use the fragments, you add the draggable panel to your layout, and if you want to use it with views, you use the draggable view and put your views inside it. To create this library, we use the Android component called the View Drag Helper and the View Drag Helper callback. This library works on Android 4 upwards or higher version, but not in the lower versions, because the scale effect is not going to work properly when the user try to drag the view. The clickable zone on a scaled view in Android 2 point lower is bigger than the real scaled zone. In this particular application I'll be showing you, we'll be integrating the draggable panel effect on 4-card views, whereby we're going to hold the places, different places around the world, beautiful places, and even their Google map where they actually reside. We're going to have the TV shows, which is just going to be like a banner for different TV shows here, series. And we have for YouTube, because we're going to be incorporating this draggable effect on the YouTube video and on a plain video apart from the YouTube video. So we'll be having 4 cards to actually explain this draggable panel effect further. I'll be moving straight to Android Studio, where I have the source file of this particular sample application, and I will be talking about one major dependency, which is the draggable panel. In my build Gradle, the module app session, we have the cam.github petrol VGS draggable panel 1.9. No, this is the version of the draggable panel. But in the course of this application, we actually did a lot of things. We used pictures, we used the action bar share lock, we even used the GMS, that's the Google Play services, to call the Google Maps. We used Picasso to load images. We used the dagger, the square up dagger, and even the button knife. So we have lots of dependencies used: the square up Picasso, the Javax inject, the square up dagger, the dagger compiler, and even the button knife. We also use the renderers, to render different activities. We have the Google Play services, the GMS, and the action bar Sherlock. We also use the YouTube Android Player API jar. This is actually in the libs folder. You call it this way. We actually downloaded the jar file of the YouTube Android Player API. We pointed it to the libs to where it actually sits. It's always in the libs folder. And we have the draggable panel. This actually is the main focus for this tutorial, whereby you'll be able to click and drag down and delete off. You drag down, you swipe to the left. If you're familiar with the YouTube application on Android, you should be able to understand what the draggable panel effect actually looks like. From this, I'll be going straight to the layouts. Let's get to look at the layouts that were created. You have the activity main, the place sample, which shows the place, the TV shows that holds onto the TV, the video sample, and the YouTube sample. That's the 4 cards we'll be talking about. The first layout, we have the episode header, the episode row, fragment movie poster, the place row, the TV show row XML. I'll talk about the 4. We have the activity place sample XML. This is calling the draw layout, whereby we have the ID called draw left, the layout width and height match parent, and the list view. There's a list view right there, whereby we assign an ID to it called LV_places, the layout width and height field parent. And we have the tag for the draggable panel. You can see it right there. We assign an ID to it called draggable panel with the layout width and height field parent. And the image view follows, whereby we assign an ID to it called IV_draw with a background of white and the closing draw layout tag. Let's look at the TV show sample. There's a relative layout where the layout with tonight match parent. The background is slightly gray, and it's a grid view. And you see it with an ID called GVTV shows. Called a style. It's calling the style XML TV show grid view. And which, if you notice, this is the draggable view, whereby we assign the ID, the tag, guitar, petrol, which draggable view, whereby the ID is draggable view, the layout with tonight, view parent, and the draggable view top view. You can see how we actually specify the layout of the draggable view, whereby we assign an ID to it called IV fine art. We have for the bottom view ID. We have for the top scale the X axis, the Y axis, the top view margin right, and the margin bottom. Just like how we are styling up the draggable view effect, and the background to it is called black. We have the list view, whereby we assign an ID to it called LD episodes. The layout with tonight, view parent, and also calling the style. An image view follows with a IV front art. We close up the draggable view and we close up the relative layout. Let's get to look at the activity video sample. Just the same tweaking will be going along. This is a frame layout. An image view right inside it, the same ID IV poster, and we have this draggable view for the video sample, whereby we assign an ID to it called draggable view. We have the top view ID. Assign an ID top view bottom view rather. We have a top view X scale factor 2.3, the Y scale which is also 2.3, the top view we'll be looking at the activity underscore YouTube, which is actually going to hold on to the YouTube video. There's a frame layout with an ID called FL container, layout with tonight match parent, and we have the image view, which is the movie thumbnail. That is going to be a thumbnail. We assign an ID to it called IV underscore thumbnail, calling from the style the image view, and we have the draggable panel. Whereby we have an ID called draggable panel, and we style it up with the L scale factor 2.3. The same thing goes for the Y scale. We have for the top fragment height, and for the fragment margin right and margin bottom, all 200 DIP, 10 DIP, and 10 DIPs. We have for the draggable panel, which is the enable horizontal alpha effect. That's first. These are all different styling when you get to use the draggable panel. Afterwards, let's look at the activity main, which is the UI launcher UI of this particular application. It's going to hold on to the different image view, which actually looks like a card layout. A table layout, we created the table layout. Table will actually make you, will give you the ability to share up the space, the UI space, in a way whereby it's going to be equal to each other. That's why we're using a table layout. We assign an ID called table layout 1. The first row, that's a table row, fill parent with a width and height. Whereby this table row is actually going to hold on to the places sample. It's a frame layout, and we are assign an image view to it called the ID IV places, and from the Android source, the places button image. And the text view on it is called the text on it is places. We close up the frame layout. We have for the TV shows sample, that's the second frame. That's actually holding on to TV shows, the IV underscore TV shows. That's the ID given to the image, and it's calling from the drawable TV shows button image. And the text on it is TV shows, the closing frame layout, and the closing table row. We have another table row. It's going to be 2 rows, the first row and the second row, making four items. The second table row is a fill parent with an height. The first frame layout is for the YouTube, whereby we are sending an image view called LV underscore YouTube, and the Android source is calling from the drawable YouTube button image, and the text on it is called YouTube. The closing frame layout, the second frame is actually going to hold the video sample, whereby I send an ID to it called IV video, and the source is calling from the video button image, and the text on it is called the video view. We close up the frame layout because we close up the table role, and we close up the parent table layout, whereby we can, maybe we can have a design view of this. All right, the render is actually not coming up. And we have the drawables, whereby we have the places button image, the Spider-Man placeholder, the TV shows button, the TV show placeholder, the video button image, and the YouTube button image. It's actually going to sit as the table rows. From there, I'll be moving straight to the Java classes. We have different subfolders, or let me call sub-package. From the main package come the Draggable Panel. We have sub-package like the activity, which are actually holding on to different activities of this particular application. We have for the DI, we have fragments, and the renderer. We have for the view model. This is just like the MVC approach to Android development, whereby you actually specify different classes to different packages and you call them appropriately. And we have the draggable panel as the launcher activity. So I was starting up from there, whereby it extends the application. We imported the main module, which is from the DI main module. This main module is actually going to spread the tree down to different activities being called. So we have already used to initialize dependency container graph with the main module. That main module is very, very important. When we instantiate this with a new main module, we create the object graph from it, we inject the statics. We'll quickly look at this main module before we get to look at the activities in this particular application. This main module actually imports a lot of stuff. It imports the draggable panel application, the places sample activity, the TV show activity from the activity, and also from the renderer package and from the view model package. Can you see that it actually incorporates everything right inside the sub packages? And it calls on the play samples activity, the TV shows activity, the draggable panel application classes. We'll be looking at those classes in a Chiefy now, whereby we instantiate the renderer adapter, the TV shows collection renderer builder. And let's look at the activities in question. We have the main activity, we have the places sample activity, we have the TV shows activity, the video sample activity, YouTube sample activity, and the draggable state. These are the main activities we'll be talking about in this particular application. Because of time, we won't be able to cover all classes in this explanation. So let's quickly look at them. The main activity, this extends the activity itself, the activity class, which is the super class. We have the onCreate method. We have the super onCreate service instance state that call on the set content view, the activity main. And we have the button knife that injects that, right? And this is actually going to hold on to the table rows, which we have 4 items: the play sample activity, TV shows activity, YouTube sample activity, and the video sample activity. First of all, we're gonna create an intent on each of the image views, whereby we call it ID called IV places, and we point this to the play sample activity. A click on that is going to actually trigger that class. That's what that is doing. And the second one, which is for the TV shows activity, the intent, we call the ID of the image, and it's going to push us down to the TV shows activity class. The third one is for the YouTube. We're going to push us down to the YouTube sample activity, and the fourth one is for the video sample activity. So that takes us down to all those activities. The first one, which is the play sample activity, this is actually going to call on different images, and it's going to tie them to their Google Maps location. That's what this is actually doing. Whereby we imported the draggable panel, the place fragments, the camera update factory, the Google Map options, the latitude and longitude, whereby we get to get the location on the map. We have the marker options. This place sample activity extends the DI fragment activity. This fragment activity is actually very important. We created some fields here: the private static fields, the draggable panel state, the last loaded place position, delay milliseconds, and the zoom itself. And these are just the injected views, whereby we have the LV places, the draggable panel, the drawer left, the IV drawer, all used in this particular application. I want create method call on the super create called the activity, the layout activity place sample. The same thing goes for the button knife. We have the initialize fragment. These are methods we'll be talking about. We have the initialize list view, the initialize draggable panel, and the config navigation drawer. Let's get to look at all those methods. they're going to be just called. Stay on the place. All right, let's move on. Where we have our unsaved instance state, and we have the unrestore instance state as well. This restore the draggable panel state, and we get the draggable panel state from the saved bundle. That's where we'll recover the draggable panel state. We return the view to the draggable panel state and minimize and maximize close to the right or close to the left. This is when we're going to update the draggable panel state delayed, where we have a switch that passes the draggable panel as the draggable state as the parameter, and the case has been checked on it. Probably if it's maximized, minimized, close that left, close that right, what is actually going to happen when those are being triggered. We also kept a reference to the last draggable panel state. What about you save the draggable state? You're going to save it so that once you swipe down and swipe to the left, which is click at left, close at right, close at left, there's still going to be a layer which is still going to be picked, so that it's not just going to crash the application. So we're going to apply the last place loaded to different fragments showed inside the draggable panel with the load last place click method. We have the initialize fragment. All right, this is the fragment. This is the method I've been looking at. Whereby we load the precursor. We call precursor here to load a picture from the HDI phone wallpapers. We actually load a wallpaper called which is in the JPEG format. And now we initialize the places list view using the places adapter and configure the on item click list now. The initialize list view, whereby we set the adapter, we set on item click listener to it, and we get the last loaded place position, passing the position into it, and we actually show the place and the position as the parameter. We're going to show a place in place fragment and support map fragment and apply the maximize effect over the draggable panel. This is where we show the place on the map. We get to get a map, the lat and the long is being called here, where we have the marker options. If you've actually created the map in an Android application, you should understand this. Get the new lat and long, which is latitude and longitude, zoom, and it's actually going to show up there. We initialize the draggable panel with the top and bottom fragment and apply all the configuration. Now look at this method. Where we initialize the draggable panel, we set the fragment manager, we set the top manager based on the place fragment. We also set the bottom fragment, because there is going to be a top and bottom, because when you drag down, it's going to actually sit on the bottom. Now this is a scale effect. This is very, very important. This is our person. Whereby we get the type value. We get the value. We get the float X scale factor. If you remember, we set an X scale factor to the draggable panel, which is 2.6 or something. That's right. We get the value. The same thing goes for the Y scale factor. We set the X scale factor, passed in the X scale factor value. The same thing goes for the Y scale factor. And we set the top view height. We get the resources, get the dimension pixels. We set the top fragment margin right. If you notice, we actually created all this in the let me quickly get which is these are places, the places. If you notice, we actually created these. Sorry, come in. If you notice, okay, look at the X scale factor, the Y scale factor, the top view margin right, the top view margin bottom. These are all done in the draggable view tag. That's actually holding on to that. So that's why we can be able to initialize it here and get its ID and actually use it appropriately. On config navigation drawer, I set the display as enabled, or as up enabled, just that it's going to go back to its calling activity. That's cool. Let's quickly look at the YouTube sample. Let's get to look at how YouTube is being initialized with this draggable effect. We imported the draggable listener, the draggable panel, even the movie poster fragment, and the YouTube initialization results from the YouTube player. There's a Java we actually included in our dependency. We have the YouTube player and the YouTube player support fragment. Now that takes us down to the YouTube API key. This is you actually need an API key from YouTube to be able to run this particular kind of particular application. I'll be showing you on how to actually go through this. I have a short blog that I'll actually take you down through this so that you'll be able to understand how to create your YouTube API key and how to get the YouTube key. With this particular blog called Wonder Blog plugin, the YouTube API key and playlist ID, with this process, if you pass through, if you follow the steps, you should be able to create your YouTube API key. When you create a project from the console.developers.google.com, that's where you need to go to. You can actually check the developers.google.com/YouTube/version 3 to get the YouTube API. But once you go through this, you get to create a project. You name your project and the name you give it. On the left menu, you go to the APIs and the authentication, and you click on the YouTube data API. You need to click on this particular portion, and you enable the APIs. Once you enable the YouTube data API, you browse the key. On the left menu, you get the credentials. You click the button, create a new key under the public API access. In the pop-up dialog, you choose browser key, then click the create in the next dialog. Just go through the steps. You get your YouTube API key and you get that going. And if you really want to get a video from YouTube, you want to get its ID, you can easily just navigate. I'll just navigate to any YouTube video right there, so you get your ID easily from that. Let me go to my channel so that you can be able to pick up. Probably you want to pick up this kind of video. Let me just pause this up here. This portion is the ID. That's the video ID of this particular video called Android Smart Lock Username and Password Authentication. Once you get this portion, which is very close to the equals to, is trying to tell you watch. The question is which kind of video. This is the video ID. This particular portion mostly is always 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 digits or alphabets. Once you copy that, you get your YouTube ID. So we'll be stopping actually there. So let's move back to our Android Studio. So you get your API key over here. You have to put it there, and the YouTube key, the particular video you're talking about, you place it right there, and you get a poster. We actually have a poster we call with a PNG. This is from this is an online poster, so you can actually have a picture right in your application, or you can actually point it out to somewhere online where you save your picture. And we have for the thumbnail, you actually get the thumbnail. These are different sizes. Try to resize to fit the particular. You can decide to change this, get the size of this picture, resize it, and tweak it up to fit what you really need it for. And we have the title on it. We just have X-Men Days of Future Past. This you can change this to what you really want. Now we continue with this. You initialize the activity with some injected data. Whereby you have the onCreate method. You set the layout activity YouTube sample. The same thing goes just the way we have the the places sample activity. Now we're going to we initialize the YouTube fragment, we initialize the draggable panel, and we call on the hook drawable panel listener. These are all methods being used. This is the initialize YouTube fragment. If you get to look at it, you call on the YouTube API, and you set it appropriately. And if it wasn't restored, the player is going to load the video. It's going to share it's going to set the show full screen button when you want to watch the YouTube video on the full screen. We have the initialized draggable panel itself. This is the major draggable effect. Whereby you set the fragment manager, you set the top fragment. Now you have the movie poster fragment. This is a class you actually instantiated, and you created an object from it called movie poster fragment. You set the poster to the video poster thumbnail created. The same thing goes for the poster title. You set the bottom fragment and call on the initialize view method to the draggable panel. This draggable panel created over here, and also the movie poster fragment. That's cool. We also call on Picasso to load on the picture and get the placeholder to actually set the picture appropriately into that placeholder. We have the hook draggable panel listener. whereby the set draggable panel listener, draggable listener is being instantiated. Whereby on maximize is going to play the video. On minimize, nothing's going to be done. You can also create some other functionality there when you minimize the draggable. On close left is going to pause the video. On close right is going to also pause the video. So what's the pause video method going to do? If the YouTube player is playing, the YouTube player is going to pause, and it's going to resume the video. So if the YouTube player, if not YouTube player is playing, it's going to also actually play it. So if it's paused, if it's playing, it's going to pause it. If it's not playing, it's going to play it. That's just what that's going to do. The same thing goes for other samples, the video, and also the TV shows. I'll be going through that because of time, so that this video won't be too lengthy. I will be uploading this source file to my Dropbox account, and I'll be sharing you the link so that you can be able to download this. This draggable effect is the new styling when it comes to Android UI. This is actually embedded from the Android Material Designs, and YouTube is actually taking up this functionality to actually add the draggable panel to its YouTube rendering. That's cool. I'll be looking at the manifest. Let's get to look at the manifest of this particular application. We need some permissions here: the internet, the access network state, the read services, that's from the GSF permission, and the right external storage. We have some uses feature here, and the application itself, whereby we lock in the metadata of the Maps API. You need the Maps API. You also need an API from the Maps. You should go through that just the way you went through the YouTube this portion. This portion you'll be able to see the Maps APIs for you to actually work on with. Definitely this the UI of this the Google console, the console developers, the console.developers, the google.com is actually changed. It's different from this. It's something that has been tweaked up. I can quickly visit it now, but yet it's still the same functionality you have there, whereby you have your different APIs for you to use. You can use the Google APIs, you can use the Google Maps, you can use the YouTube APIs, whereby you call on their appropriate API key. This is just it there. Now you need to lock in the activity, the main activity. These are all activity being used. The places activity, you need to lock it up. You need to register it in your manifest. The TV shows, this is another activity. The YouTube, this is another activity. The video, this is another activity. This one has the metadata of the Google Android GMS version. All this must be registered in your manifest, so that any intent call to each of this activity won't actually crash the activity, because it's going to call a non-pointer exception. But once you actually register these activities in your manifest, it's actually going to work smoothly. Let's quickly go back. Let's see, maybe it is loaded. That's cool. This is where you have your dashboard, your API manager, where you can get to set up. You go to credentials if you really want to pick up different APIs to call. Probably you need the API keys, OAuth, client ID, and so on. This is the library whereby you pick up the YouTube APIs. You have for the Google Maps. This is over here. This is for the Android API. This is where you create and generate the key to use for the Google Maps and for the YouTube API. That's cool. I'll be uploading the source file, as I've said, and I'll be showing the screencast of this, because I actually tested it in a real device so that it's going to work smoothly. You're going to see the draggable and the exit of the particular activity or the particular layer, which we actually utilize the draggable effect on it. So I'll be showing you the screencast of this video, and afterwards I'll be uploading this source code to my Dropbox, and I'll be sharing the link. So you get that at the more section of this video. And I'll also welcome any comments whatsoever that can be very useful for this particular integration, right? Thank you very, very much for hanging out with me throughout the session. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a wonderful time. Bye bye.